Hello and welcome to Module 2.2 Brand Identity, the face of your brand. In this module, we'll be talking about brand identity and how your image affects your perceived value in the minds of your potential customers. So, in this module, you'll discover what is a brand identity, the importance of creating a brand identity, the role of your logo, how your brand identity affects your perceived value in the minds of your potential clients, the different visual branding elements and how they affect your signature brand identity, the importance of a visual style guide. So when it comes to branding, there's a lot of psychology involved, and smart business owners like you who choose to invest in their marketing education always thrive because they learn the psychology of what creates a powerful and attractive brand. Now, the psychology behind visual branding is what makes your brand message more fascinating and more persuasive. Armed with the marketing and branding expertise you'll gain from Cakebox Academy, you'll be able to capture the attention of your ideal customers, and selling your product or service will become almost effortless when you master the art of using your brand identity to your advantage. And when you do that, you'll have an irresistible brand that sells itself. So let's look at what is a brand identity. A brand identity is defined as the visual elements of a brand, such as colors, design, logo type, name, and symbol, that together identify and distinguish the brand in the consumer's mind. And that's from businessdictionary.com. So let's look at why a brand identity is so important. The brand identity is like your signature look that includes much more than just a logo. This also allows your brand to be identified even in the absence of your logo or brand name. So when you see certain colors, shapes, or patterns, you can attribute that to a specific brand. A strong brand identity will create associations that can be triggered even outside of your brand communications, especially where color or tone of voice is concerned. So again, colors mentioned here as well, and also your tone of voice. So the way you actually write your written communication, so the style of writing can give away who is actually writing. Your brand identity can be engineered to appeal only to a specific group of people, helping you to position your brand to attract your ideal customers. So you don't want to just appeal to everybody. You don't want to be all things to all people. You want to target a specific set of people, and those people are your tribe. Okay, so remember that you don't want to be targeting everybody. You want to create a tribe of people who follow you, and these people absolutely understand you, your brand, and your values and what you stand for. And that's how you grab market share, because there's a lot of competition out there and lots of places people can go to. So you've got to make yourself unique by doing just that. Also, a strong brand identity increases the value of your brand. Now, why does that happen? Because when you have a strong brand identity, the brand sells itself. You don't have to sell as much. People just want that brand association. Does your brand look the part? Let's get into that. Now, when you present yourself in the best possible light with well-designed and coordinated visible elements that match your brand promise, you fill your customer with confidence. So just like how people are judged on appearances on a first date, for example, or when you go to a job interview, your customers are doing the exact same thing, which is judging you or your business based on how it's being presented visually. So presentation involves the careful coordination of all the elements of your visual styling, including your logo, your typography, your photography, your color scheme, and any other design elements, so patterns and that kind of stuff, textures. And they all have the point of them all is to tell a story and communicate your brand promise. So one of the key things is consistency, because once people consistently see your brand presented in a specific way. They've only got to see one element before they know it's you. Maybe it's your fonts or specific color or a shade of a specific color. Then they're instantly triggered and they remember you. Let's get into consistency. So being consistent with your visual styling over a long period of time will allow you to imprint your brand in the mind of the people in your marketplace. So people will begin to associate certain colors, words, fonts, and images with your brand. Even if the message isn't coming from your brand, they're triggered every time. Every single time they're exposed to a color, a word, or image, or even the way something is written, they're triggered and they remember your brand. And this is very powerful and allows you to add more value to your brand and increase what's called brand equity. Let's talk about the logo. So the logo is essentially your brand signature. It should be a sign, a symbol, or word mark that represents your business, industry, characteristics, or values. And it's one of the first things that people will recognize when exposed to your brand. A strong logo will help your clients identify your business from others in your marketplace. So just think of brands such as Nike, McDonald's, or Apple. The thing these brands all have in common is that they all have strong, instantly recognizable identities. Now, this recognition naturally comes over time when you use the strategies taught inside Cakebox Academy, but more importantly, your logo should portray the values of the company and what it stands for. Now, this is achieved by making sure that your logo makes use of easily recognized symbols, appropriate typefaces, which a lot of people call fonts, that reflect the character or voice of your brand. So let's look at some examples of some iconic logos. Now, the thing well-known brands all have in common is that they all have strong, instantly recognizable logos. Now, this is achieved by making sure that they use simple and easily recognized symbols, colors, and appropriate typefaces that reflect the character or voice of their brands. Now, it may be tempting to try and fit every single aspect of your business in your logo, or go with something obvious or overused, but ultimately, originality and simplicity is what makes logos memorable and iconic. So when it comes to logos, essentially, less is more. Let's talk about color for a second. So color is probably one of the most overlooked but critical elements of visual branding. It has the potential to influence your customers' emotions, their thoughts, their moods, and it can be used to create a specific expectation in their minds, on a subconscious level, of course. Now, for this reason, it's extremely important to make a conscious choice about your brand colors. So let's look at some of the ways a lot of business owners go wrong. They pick a color that they personally like. They pick a color that they personally like and not necessarily something that will resonate with the people they're trying to attract or the story they're trying to tell them. So your brand message will be much more effective when you make the right choice of colors. So when you make the right colors a part of your brand identity, every element of your branding tells a story. We have a whole module dedicated to color where we explore the different psychological effects of different colors and their most appropriate uses. This is in the communication section of Cakebox Academy. Okay, so moving on, let's talk photography. You've probably already heard the saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? Hundreds of times you've heard that, and it's true. The brain processes pictures thousands of times faster than it does with words. So as a brand owner, it will be to your advantage to use carefully chosen images to create the right emotions, attracting and keeping the attention of your audience. So many brand owners are successfully using images on sites like Instagram to tell their stories, engaging with people as they build a tribe of followers. Now, it's important to invest in a good headshot of yourself, especially if you're the face of your brand. If you're branding a business, you should create a library of images that can tell your story. And if you've got a decent camera and you know how to use it quite well, you can take pictures of yourself. Alternatively, you can buy stock photography, or if you have the budget for it, hire a photographer. That's always a good idea if you can actually afford it. But with stock photography, it's always a good idea to modify and edit the photos to capture the right mood, as other people will, of course, have access to the same images that you do. And you can either do that by hiring a designer, or you can add filters on apps such as Instagram or WordSwag. Now, let's talk typography. Typography is the art of styling and arranging letters on a page to produce a particular effect. Let's look at the brand persona of typefaces, or what people usually call fonts. So on the left you have what's called a serif font, and on the right you have what's called a sans serif font. Serif fonts have a line at the end of each stroke, which conveys more of a traditional and formal look, while sans serif fonts, which are shown on the right hand side, don't have that line at the end of each stroke, which conveys more of a crisp and modern look. So it gives a different feel, a different personality. Now you've got scripted fonts and you've got handwritten fonts. So script fonts and italics are generally more formal and decorative, sophisticated and feminine. So if your brand is aimed towards a female market, then you might want to include some of those type of fonts. Handwriting fonts tend to be more casual and personal, friendly and approachable. So bear that in mind when you are choosing lettering for your business. Let's look at whitespace and letter spacing. So on the left hand side, you've got the same word, London, one where it's all bunched up together, and the one where it's smaller and more spaced out with more white space. Now, the one on the left has a different look and feel. The one on the right has more of an expensive look. So when you space out your lettering, it gives the feeling of being more upmarket. And when you bunch up your letters together, it's more of a inclusive type of look and feel. So if your price point is something that's more inclusive and it's something that's for everyone, then you can use that type of style. But if you want to portray more of an exclusive upmarket type of feel, then you would probably want to space out your letters more. Again, best thing to do is to work with a professional designer, but this is just so you understand the rationale behind certain designs. So let's look at how we can apply different types of arrangement of words. So you've got 3 of the same call to action, call us now. So when you enlarge or capitalize a word, or if you make it italic, you have a different type of motion to it. So for example, where it says call us now and it's in lowercase, it doesn't really scream at any type of urgency. But the second one, where it says call us with now in capital letters, that's like there's a lot more urgency there. And then when you make something capitalized and also italic, so it's slanted, when it's slanted like that, it gives a sense of motion, so speed and urgency. Do you see how that works? So that the last example on the end communicates speed and urgency at the same time. So you can use those types of techniques when you're creating mini posters or any graphics for your business that you want to put out there. You can take advantage of that knowledge. So if you want people to act with more urgency, then you can use that type of effect to get that response. So when it comes to typography, less is definitely more. As a rule of thumb, less is more. You should stick to a maximum of 2 typefaces, one for your headlines and one for your body text. And correct and consistent use of typography will definitely allow you to boost brand recognition, boost your credibility, and also get your readers to take action, as I mentioned, or feel a specific emotion that may lead to them taking a desired action. Let's talk about the visual style guide. This is otherwise known as a brand identity document. Now, this document contains details of how to use your logo, abbreviated versions of your logo, fonts, colors, color codes, guidelines on how to use different patterns and any iconography that you have. And it really helps you maintain a consistent image across all your marketing and communication channels. As a small business owner or a personal brand, if you have one of these documents, you definitely have an unfair advantage over your competitors, because a lot of people don't use these. But if you do use one of these, you'll be able to make sure that your visual branding is consistent anywhere that you have to create graphics. And it also saves you time and money on any subsequent design work, because if you give this to your designer, they'll instantly know what kind of style to run with when they're creating any communication for you. So it could be leaflets, flyers, web stuff. Once they have that document, they know exactly what style and theme to use each time they create any graphics for you. So that will also save you money and also save you time. So let's go for a quick review. Coming to the end of this module, establishing a visual brand identity and sticking to it will not only help you keep a unified look across your website, social media, and anything with your brand on it. A strong brand identity creates familiarity, credibility, and trust, which not only increases the value of your brand in the mind of your customers, but it also increases your brand equity too. So with a style guide you can refer to, your designer has far less work to do, which actually saves you cash. Apart from referrals from previous customers, you'll be relying a lot on your image to attract new people. That's why it's so important to be intentional about your brand identity, ensuring that you coordinate your logo, your photography, your colors, and other brand elements with purpose and consistency, preferably with the help of a graphic designer who understands brand identity. So that sums up this module. You've successfully completed it. I look forward to seeing you inside the next module. So catch you in the next one. Bye for now.